So I'm sure you're watching this video because you've probably seen or heard about this Peng Sky Lantern Festival in Chiang Mai that looks really magical and wonderful, which now you're curious and interested to go to this festival to see it for yourself. In this video, I really want to share with you my experience when I was there in the festival for 2024 and provide some tips and advice from my learnings so you can plan your trip to be more smooth and pleasantful. I hope you find this video useful and helpful and won't make the same mistake as I did during my visit. The first tip is obvious, but book your flight and your hotel way in advance. Ideally 6 months in advance. I was one of those people that was just procrastinating, hoping to find a better deal. And towards the end, direct flights to Chiang Mai was ridiculously expensive. So then I opted to fly into Bangkok before doing a domestic flight to Chiang Mai. If you're planning to do this, make sure you're in the correct airport because most domestic flights is in a different airport compared to international flights. First obstacle was at the airport. With all these flights trying to get in, there was a lot of people trying to get out of the airport as well. As you see, there's a lot of people lining up for the taxi meter counter to order a taxi. For those of you that is your first time in Chiang Mai, there's actually no taxi line for you. You have to go to one of these companies to get a taxi ordered in for you. My ticket showed that I needed to wait for over 100 taxis before I get picked up. So my second advice is to go to both of those stores and get a ticket each and see which one comes faster. Also, trying to call a Grab at this point was impossible. I even tried the most expensive option and had no luck. Another advice is to bring some water and snacks with you because if you're flying in late, a lot of the restaurants actually close early because of the Sky Lantern Festival, and so there was actually no restaurant open apart from a Starbucks. So my third advice is to try to arrange for a pickup in advance. I actually tried to order one 2 weeks beforehand, but all options was already fully booked by then. And just note, leaving Chiang Mai isn't going to be any easier. There's also going to be heaps of people in queue. You expect to wait for an hour before you actually get checked in. During the Peng Festival, there is a lot of events happening, so even if you're not going to the CAD event, it's definitely worth visiting. However, there will be a lot more people than usual in town, and thus this comes with some inconvenience. For example, expect it to be harder to catch a Grab or taxi and expect you'll have to pay more than usual during this time. There was also some occasions where it took 20 to 30 minutes before someone was able to take my order. So my advice is to book a hotel near the city or walkable distance to areas you wish to visit during your stay. Ideally, if you're going to the CAD event, book a hotel near the pickup and drop-off point because transportation will be challenging with all the attendees. There's a couple of Sky Lantern events happening, but the biggest and most popular one is probably the CAD event. If you're planning to book a ticket, you should book early and only through the official site, as I did see a few people where they might have booked through agencies and their ticket got denied, which would have caused unnecessary stress. If it's your first time releasing Sky Lantern, I highly recommend you watch the YouTube video provided, as that day of the event it'll be too chaotic for any helper to be assisting and guiding you. I opted for the VIP ticket for the event, and on the agenda it said pickup starts around 3:30. However, when I arrived at the site at 1:30, I already saw a queue at registration where they would check your tickets and give you a sticker so you can board onto a car. As you see, as a so-called VIP ticket holder, don't expect there to be any privilege in queuing. If you want to skip the queue, you'll probably have to opt for the premium ticket instead. After registration was done, I went for a quick bite, and by the time I came back to the pickup point at 3 p.m., guess what? There was another queue now to board onto a car. Honestly, it was quite chaotic and messy. There was queues that was overlapping another. No one really knew which queue was for what, and whether it was a VIP or premium queue, it definitely felt understaffed. My biggest tip for this event is to beat the crowd from the get-go. By being the first ones to board on the van and to get to the site first, you're naturally a step ahead of everyone else, and it would have saved you a lot of time queuing throughout the event. The trip from the city to the site takes about an hour, and the roads can get a bit bumpy at times. So at that point, I was glad that I actually got the VIP ticket. At least I could enjoy the ride and even take a nap. Also expect with so much vehicle going into the site, you'll have to wait a bit before you're able to debark. Once we arrived at the site, the ticket checking process was relatively smooth. Once you enter, it definitely feels like a festival with a number of different things you can do. There's spots for you to take photos, and there's also numerous of different snacks that's offered upon arrival. Performances are happening here and there, and live music is all around you. Overall, the site is quite big, so expect you'll need to walk quite a bit. Don't forget to also release your own floating lantern. Once you've enjoyed a number of activities, make sure you get to the food zone early as queues will start developing longer the later you go. Tables generally isn't too hard to find, so if you're going with a couple of friends, I recommend splitting up so each are queuing for different food. Also, drinks run out pretty quickly except water, so I would recommend you getting drinks first. Most activities and performance continue after dinner, so you'll have some time to enjoy those that you've missed. The event starts on time, so there's no rush to get to the seated areas early. The main performance was alright. I'm pretty sure most of us here wasn't really here for the performance. So personally, I didn't feel the ticket seating really mattered that much in this sense. Towards the end of the performance, the MC will ask everyone to start preparing a sky lantern so we could all release it together. However, it became so loud at that point you can barely hear the instructions that they were trying to teach. The sky lantern was pretty big, so it was easier for two people to lit one lantern together. By the time the MC said to release, half of the people there was still just trying to get it figured out. Behind the scenes, some lanterns weren't elevating high enough and almost caught someone's head on fire. As well as I did see a number of lanterns catch on fire, however staff was ready with fire extinguisher. Nevertheless, you do have to be careful when coming to this event. As much as I wanted to stay longer, to beat the crowd we left the site as soon as we released our lanterns. And was I glad we did, as the trip back into the city took even longer with traffic. By the time we reached into the city again, we had to haggle to find a taxi to drive us back into our hotels. We ended up paying double of what normally would be priced at. Despite it being such a stressful day in the beginning with all the hiccups, I must say the moment the sky lantern was released into the sky, it definitely felt so surreal and such a magical moment that made this whole trip so worth it.